Welcome to the Survive, Scale, Soar podcast. Hear and learn through the success of others how to build the life and business you deserve. Learn to overcome failure, what it means to seek out growth, and how to become the best possible version of yourself. And now, here's your host, coach, entrepreneur, husband and father, and author of the #1 best-selling book, Survive, Scale, Soar, Jeremy Williams.
And welcome back. This is Jeremy Williams, and you're tuning into the Survive, Scale, Soar podcast, the podcast for the entrepreneur, built by entrepreneurs. Today, I'll be joined by David Dunlap, principal broker for Real, a tech-powered real estate company. David shares how real changes has happened both in his life and his business. Before we get started with our guest, a quick reminder: if today's episode moves you, makes you think differently, or you know it may help someone, be sure to share it. And David, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, Jeremy, I'm great. Thanks. How are you, sir?
How's the weather up there in Little Rock, Arkansas today?
It is cloudy and it feels nice outside.
Dave, I've known you for a while now, and I'm so excited about having you on the show today because there's been a lot of change that has happened in your life, and I want to dive into that today. I want to start out. You're the principal broker now of Real in Arkansas, correct?
Correct. Yes. We launched a little over 3 weeks ago now.
Great. So we're gonna dive into that, and I want people to know how they can reach out to you if they have questions specifically about that. Okay. Yet the title of this episode is Real Change Happens, and I've seen a lot of change. We've had some great conversations over the last. It's been a little over a year. And I think the audience hearing this today can realize that real change can happen for them too. So take me back to when all this started happening, or tell me a little bit of your story. I think people, if they understood your story, they could see where the change took place.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate that. I woke up August the 8th of last year with I was sick, actually. I didn't feel well. I did not realize that I had a gallbladder issue. And so I was sick throughout that day. It had sort of been a rough weekend. And that evening, I knew I needed to take care of something. And so what happened with me, I knew I needed to fix a situation. And by knowing I was going to jump on a phone call later with someone that would involve what I was in hopes of fixing a situation, God reached down that night and fixed me. Completely unexpected, just me and him in my living room by myself.
Whoa. So we're having a business conversation, and we brought up God. Oh my goodness.
Well, hey, you asked the question, Jeremy. So there it is.
All right. So God met you on August 8th. So what happened? Tell us what happened.
Yeah. So I was expecting a phone call to come through that evening. It was always FaceTime. And when the call came through, I could tell that the other individual had they'd been thinking about some things, sort of a sad face. And not knowing how that conversation was going to go, I had made a comment to them that I would listen to them, hear them out, and I would not interrupt them. And as soon as I saw their face and I could tell that they had been upset, it was like God literally spoke to me and said, David, be obedient to what you said that you were going to do, because I'm about to do a work in you that you asked me to do in you a long time ago. Jeremy, I had prayed a long time ago that if God was going to do a work in my life, that he was going to have to be the one to do it, because I had failed myself. I had failed my family. I had failed my friends. I had failed my kids. I'd failed everybody. But anyway, that night, he really reached down in love and rescued me from where I was at that time in my life, completely unexpected. I had prepared about 3 or 4 pages of notes on legal paper just to easily reference, to look down at my table and just glance down at. And as soon as I heard him speak those words to me, I moved my notes aside, knowing that I would never cover anything on those notes. And I didn't. We spoke for about 45 minutes or so. It was a great phone call. We let each other know how we felt and what was going on. And honestly, it was a cleansing phone call. It was a washing phone call. And 3 to 5 minutes after getting off the phone, I literally stood up in my living room and raised my hands up. And I thank God for what he had done in my life in that moment, because my transformation from a past life to a new life, it was immediate. It was right then. I knew it. It's like if you could hear the chains drop on a hardwood floor, I felt the bondage of, I'm just going to say, the bondage of my sin that I was living in. I felt that bondage drop, those chains drop to the floor just like that.
So there was obviously an immediate change, and it's amazing how God can do that. He can change something in an instant.
Yes.
Which happened there in that room. Yet there was also change that came in time. Tell me about that.
Oh my goodness, the change that has come in time. I mean, every day I literally wake up with my gut is on fire for a passion to do, to do a ministry. I was called to the ministry when I was a teenager, and I didn't go forth with it. My wife and I, at that time, we had launched a ministry, and some things happened, and that ministry just sort of went to the side. It was sort of put on hold for 20 something years. I wake up every morning though with a desire, literally a gut wrenching desire, like a fire in the pit of my gut, for a ministry to help others. This is a dark world that we're living in, and I feel like I have a story to share with others that lets them know that there is hope, there is salvation, there is redemption. There truly is a God that loves us. However, we all know that he gives us a choice, though. He gives us a choice to make our decisions. He's a gentleman, and he is no respecter of persons. So my story to others is what he has done for me in my life, he can do for anyone in their life. It may not be the same way. God does work in ways that we don't understand. Just like that evening, I didn't understand how God did what he did, the way he did it, when he did it, but all I know is that he did it. And that's what I stand upon. I stand upon the promises of the word. I'm a guy that believes the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, every word spoken. I believe that there is no contradiction, and I am now in alignment with him and the word. And I can't get enough of it.
So you've had some changes in your business world, but I want to first start with the ministry, because you said you had put that off for 20 or so years, and you recently launched something called The Gathering.
Yes.
And tell me about that, and what inspired you to launch that and pour your life into that ministry.
Yeah, just a little bit on that. So I was introduced to a couple, Ryan Kennedy and Charity Gale. And Ryan Kennedy he has put together what is called Gather House. It's based out of Houston. And by listening to some of their worship services on YouTube, and then being introduced to a church in Houston called Church of Champions, just through connections and making my way, filtering through a few things, and then ended up meeting them and had the opportunity of Ryan sharing with me, and a group of us actually, what Gather House was and what it meant to him. That just prompted something within me. The reason it prompted something is because here in our area, I felt like for me, I couldn't find services to attend on Sundays. For example, Sunday night, they're few and far churches because of COVID. They don't have services on Sunday evenings. Same with Wednesday. So I was trying to find everything that I could online to watch and to seek out. And when I understood what Gather House was, I'm like, we could use something similar to this in Little Rock, just to help others if they don't have a place to go to church, if they've been church hurt. People love small, intimate gatherings. And so what we have done is we have launched The Gathering. We started in November with around 4 people. And we're running right at 19, 20 people on average now. And what's interesting, it's growing. It's just like going to church. You have folks that are not always there, but we would probably run around 26 to 28 out of our home right now if everyone that normally attend would attend.
That's awesome. And I heard something there that I've heard we've talked about this, and it made me just now think of it, though, is that you're in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Correct.
And the people that you're plugging into and got connected with that's helped spurring the fire to develop this ministry in Little Rock, they're in Houston. And so is there a lesson there that sometimes you've got to go outside what you're comfortable with to find the things that you truly need?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Good. So that's going, and you're working in a business in a way to be able to fund this. I know that's important to you, to be able to grow this and be able to reach more and more people. And so let's go to the business side. So you were with another brokerage previously, had a lot of success in developing it. In fact, almost the same process. You were the principal broker for the state of Arkansas, launching it. What made you make the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to go after Real and this opportunity because it's in alignment with some things that maybe the world doesn't necessarily understand, right? But David and his relationship with God and those conversations you're having, you knew it was the perfect fit.
Yes, and that was definitely a process for sure. I went back and forth on that. The opportunity to launch Real for the state of Arkansas was presented last year, and it wasn't forced, pressured, applied, or anything like that. I was in conversation with a dear friend of mine, Kimberly Ryan, out of Arizona, and she had shared a little bit about Real with me, and I told her no several times. And anyway, I had an opportunity to visit with her in Phoenix, and her husband last fall. And she never brought it up. I ended up bringing it back up to her. I just wanted to maybe know and understand a little bit more about Real. And we had a pretty amazing conversation that particular evening. And it led to me thinking about it. And I did go back and forth numerous times. And my wife and I started praying about it. And our answer actually came from prayer. I felt like I needed to be in alignment. It was, and this might be the last piece to me being in alignment with the changes that had come forth from August the 8th, and something new. And looking at where I was with my previous brokerage and where I would need to be to have things, let's say, equal what they were, I was going to have to put forth the same amount of work, effort, and energy, whether it be with another brokerage or with my previous brokerage. And so the more I thought about that and looked at the numbers for me added up. And this was about me and my family, and it was about alignment. It was about doing the right thing. This is a great model. It's a secondary model to my previous model. And I thought it would be a great way to introduce this, again, another model similar to my previous model, into the state of Arkansas, and jump into it, sharing the story with the real estate agents. And this was so bizarre because launching a ministry and then thinking about doing another brokerage on a Sunday morning, I was getting ready for church, and I was praying. I'm like, God, okay, seriously, if this is what you want us to do, how do we do this? And the answer came quickly. I heard it immediately. It was like, well, David, how did you launch and work your previous brokerage? And I'm like, okay, well, that's easy, one by one. He was like, well, that's how you do this. So from that, I've used the tagline, each one reach one. So that's really what we're doing, is we're reaching out via social media, phone, etc. People are reaching out to me. I have more calls coming into me and texts and messages through social media coming into me than I can handle it some days anyway. But I'm responding to those needs. I'm sharing my story of what God has done for me in my life. And I'm also now tying it together with a real estate adventure, if it's the right fit for an agent. It's like, come on aboard and let's build this together. And that's the great thing about working with Real currently in the state of Arkansas. Previously, it was me with my former company. Now it's me with, we've got a handful of agents already. We have between 40 and 50 agents that have quickly jumped on board within the last 3 weeks. And so we're all building this together. So each one reach one, we're building this together. And we're forming a new community. We're forming a new community out of the ministry with the gathering that we're calling it. That is a new community that we're building. And we're also forming a new real estate community within our industry here in Arkansas.
That's amazing. And how each one of those can help the other one thrive. They fuel each other. All right, before we get into how people can reach out to you, the title of this episode is Real Change Happens. So somebody's listening today on this call, whether they be in the real estate industry or just a small business owner, maybe they work in the corporate world, and they're sitting here today thinking, gosh, this change happened for David, and it was huge, and all these great, exciting things came of it. But, do I deserve that? Or, how do I have that real change? What would you say to those people out there today listening?
My first thought is God is no respecter of persons, as I mentioned a while ago. And what he has done for me in my life, he can and will, he's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. So I know those things. So there is hope for others, regardless of what it is. It could be a family situation. It could be a personal relationship situation with a friend, a spouse, a loved one. It could be a work relationship. And my message really is of hope. There is hope for this world. There's hope for the lost. And there's even a new way of doing real estate today with these types of models that there is some financial freedom involved in. It's not for everyone. However, if you take a hold of these models and you work them and you put forth the effort and energy and you share from your heart passionately, I think people do see through that. I was reminded a couple of weeks ago that I wasn't there for some folks with my previous company, and they were absolutely right. I wasn't. It was about me. It was about self, and others got that, but I didn't sign up to actually, I'm trying to word this correctly. I signed up for freedom for myself. Today, I have signed up to do real to show others that there is freedom now. So I was not in alignment with my previous company. I am in alignment with my brokerage now. And this really was a prayer answered for me. And it was definitely an alignment thing with the folks that I run with. And that's a tough question. And I feel like I'm stumbling around with that. But
I think it's a great answer.
I want to get my point across and not come across in a negative way. Yeah,
no, I appreciate that. And I know you still have a respect and relationships with those in your previous brokerage. It's just what's been in alignment for you.
And some people, they don't understand that. They don't get that. And it doesn't matter if we push out a social media post. I understand not everyone reads all of our posts and stuff like that, but we try to do the best that we do with what we have to work with. And it doesn't matter how hard any of us try at doing something. We can do our best, but it can always be misinterpreted, misread, misunderstood. There's always an opinion, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I shared something the other day with my audience through social media that the plans God has for ourselves, the world doesn't necessarily understand. It might not even make sense to them. It might be completely counterintuitive to them, but that's okay because it's God's plan for you, not for them.
Right.
And I think when we can stand in that truth and just realize and understand that, and if more people would realize that, I think there wouldn't necessarily be the hurt feelings that might exist. And
right.
And it's about the God that we serve.
Right. And for me, that's the bottom line.
Awesome. All right. So if somebody has an interest in, they want to learn more about real, or they want to learn more about the gathering, maybe we have some folks in Little Rock, Arkansas that are looking for something like this, how does somebody reach out to you?
Phone or text, 501-940-2080. Feel free to push me a text. I'll respond pretty quickly. Feel free to call me. Leave a message if you don't catch me, and I'll return your call as quickly as possible.
And David,
also social media too.
Yeah, definitely. You're definitely active there. Learn more about David's story on his social media platform. He does a great job at sharing it. And, I think it gives hope to that real change is possible. David, one more time, slow on your phone number. If somebody wants to reach out to you, where do they call? Where do they text?
Yes, 501-940-2080.
Awesome. David, thank you for being on the show today. I know somebody out there is going to hear this, and it is going to start that process for them to be able to have that change in their life that you're experiencing. And I know the people that you're impacting through Real, the people that you're impacting through the gathering, and more importantly, just the people that you're impacting day to day, your family, your friends, your spouse, even people like me. I know they're very appreciative of having that relationship with you. So thank you again, David.
Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you for listening to the Survive, Scale, Soar podcast. If you heard something that made a difference in your life today, share it with someone that might benefit, and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Learn more about the host of this podcast and coaching services offered by Red Hawk Coaching by visiting www.redhawkcoaching.com.